that should drive the decisions you make. Then the second thing after that, defining that, is having or bringing on board a team that believes what you believe. It doesn't mean that they don't confront things that they think are not, you're not aligned on.
Yeah.
They do, but I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
But just having people who believe in the future that you believe in, the reason you're building. And then the third step is creating an environment where people are able or open enough to share with you what they think can be better, or what can't be better.
Okay.
And that combination of things, I think, enables your startup to thrive.
Yeah.
Because, again, just going back to the initial concept I was talking about, you'll find that your colleagues, just by virtue of being more connected to the customer, depending on what industry you're in, will have insights that you don't have. But if they're afraid to talk to you as a CEO and tell you, then it's recipe for disaster.
For sure.
Yeah.
So you want to chime in on that, or? I know even a CTO is a CEO of the tech side of things, right? For you, is it the same, or just build, get shit done?
No, I think even the way you build your technology, right? It has to be with the customer at the forefront, right? Because most of the times, if you build something that's not helpful to the customer, the end result of that is very little to no adoption.
Yes.
So, the customer has to take the center stage. And as Tesh has said, the only way you get proper feedback and timely feedback of what the customer needs is, the team needs to believe in what you're building, and they have to be closely knit for that communication to trickle down. Yeah.
So, do you think you have done justice to retail market in Africa through MarketForce? Or there is more?
We are doing justice.
Or you are in the process? Okay. So I'll ask now controversial questions. So there's this narrative where when you raise funds, as you guys raised, and by the way, these are not just ordinary guys who are listening. So they're the guys who raised $42 million just a year ago, right? There's an analogy that once you raise that kind of funds, you lose you lose the touch of the business. Number one, there is some percentage you lose straight up, right? Two, the hires who are brought to your company, and they come as strategic hires from the investor. Was that the case for you guys, or what do you have to say about that?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
So, first of all, we did not get any strategic hires from by investors.
Yeah.
We personally, Mesongo and I interviewed or agreed on who we felt was the next right hire to have in the business. We built a team that we respect a lot. Guys who understand their stuff in whatever space it is. So that's been great because we've got to work every
So there was
day
no recommendation from the investor like, you guys, if you hire so and so, you're going to achieve.
Their recommendations is okay, but I can't say there's any hire that was brought on board as a condition to investment.
I see.
No, not at all. We built the team with people we thought were right for the business, and we believed in, and they believed in us. So we've been privileged in that sense. We've worked with people we respect a lot, and we have enjoyed that experience. We've learned a lot from them. They've filled a lot of, they've complemented our skills. And honestly, but I think one of the reasons MarketForce has gotten to where the scale it has today wouldn't have been possible without this team of credible people. In terms of how it's been raising funding, it's been a very I'd say opening process. Because again, you don't know what you don't know.
True.
So when you're used to managing $4, and then you need to manage $40 million.
It's crazy. Man. It's crazy. Yeah, I can only imagine. $41 million. Is it 42? Almost $43 million
in total. Since inception, that's how much it is. But the Series A was $40 million.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a lot of ups and downs, even through that that raise itself, because some of the capital that was committed and signed didn't come in as expected. But it's part of the learning process.
True. But this is a very important thing that you have said. So if someone commits capital and you agree they'll take this amount of shares, right, or percentage, does it change if they bring lower, or because you need the money? You're like, okay, it's okay,
No. So it's you get what you pay for, not what you sign for.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Where did you learn this? Is it from Cloud9, UI Combinator?
I mean, like running a business is many things. So that's legal stuff that you get to learn in the process. But I think what's important is just through that process, we've continued to narrow down more and more on what matters at the end of the day.
Yes.
And for us, one of the main things that come about is at the end of the day, business is about serving a customer, solving a problem that matters and getting paid for it, building a sustainable enterprise. And on top of that is, again, why did you start the business? Started. Us guys, we know why we started. We wanted to create jobs. We know that's one of the biggest challenges we have in the continent. We saw an opportunity in a space that's largely digitized. Our background is computer science, and we love technology, and we wanted to build products that work in the African context. We've managed to do that, get tens of thousands of users on our platform, which has been exciting. It's quite fulfilling to do that, create hundreds of jobs. It's been quite fulfilling to do that as well. And that's why what Mesongo said is really important. It's the journey. You appreciate about the journey. Are you proud of what you're doing every single day? It doesn't mean there's not going to be challenges. Some challenges you expected, some you didn't expect.
You learn as you go.
You learn as you go. And you keep the fire burning. You fight where you need to fight. You celebrate where you
guys have fought, huh?
Celebrate. We have fought a lot.
We are always fighting a lot.
What is
today,
that thing that you remember? This one tulipambana, for lack of a better one.
So as a business, you mean?
Yes. Is there someone who came in and wanted to take away the business? This happens in this ecosystem, actually, as young as it is.
I don't think we've not had that kind of experience. Somebody wanting to take away the business, but we've had partnerships that didn't work out. And then it's always challenging, to move on from such things. Maybe, you invest a lot into the partnership, but the end result is not, what you expected. But I wanted to talk a little bit on the funding side and how generally that has shaped how we think about the journey. I think that now. During this time, a lot of startups and success in startups has always been measured by, how much capital
you raise.
I think that, and this is challenge also to media. And I said this in a previous podcast. I was in, and most of the ones that are shedding light on the African startups. I think we need to change the yardstick and start measuring startups on the impact they're having in the ecosystem.
For sure.
Because, when you think about capital, it's just an enabler. How you use that capital to, grow your business is a different thing. And that can always be measured by the impact that you're actually having in your space. Because, when it's all said and done, I would want MarketForce to be measured from the angle of, how many merchants did we, impact in the journey, or how many merchants are we serving? How have we improved their business? What services are they able to access from our platform? because that then shows the use of the capital that you've put in place and the team. Because, capital is one thing, and then how you use that capital. And
it's a whole different ballgame.
It's a whole different ballgame. And also the team that you get in place to, move your business from one stage to the next.
Yes.
Even affects how well you put that capital into place. So I think we should start as an
embracing
ecosystem,
that,
celebrating that impact more,
than the fundraise. But this is very important because you see we are a young ecosystem, right? 5 years from now, that will not be the narrative whereby who raised what. There will be no other. Like in San Francisco right now, how much money do you need to raise to get anyone's attention, right? It tells you, right? But the reason why this is very important, even the reason why I'm covering this, is because there's so many people who want to raise funds because they feel like, hey, Tesh and Kolo here raise funds, right? Maybe we need to raise funds, but that's not the solution. It's good that you have pointed that out clearly. And this drives me to the next question. Which are these collaborations that you have had that really impacted the business and the clients?
I think for us, the things that have always worked out are the ones that we do with other startups in the ecosystem. Our experience with corporates has not been very good so far. There is one that's in the pipeline that I'm hoping that it works out. But I think what I've seen collaborating with other startups, those things move faster.
Chief, do you know you have pointed a very important point that I've been trying to put in people's mind for the longest, because startup, mostly you have the same struggles, right? And maybe you are struggling with the resources at the same time, right? But corporate and startups, they're like, one is up there, the other one is down here. So even reasoning is really hard. The others who are ticking KPIs, the others who know that maybe next month we don't have the rent. Maybe next month we might not be able to meet people's pay slip, right? So it's very, very important that startups that is coming up and also chasing corporate is quite expensive if you think about it. And the biggest corporate in any ecosystem is the government. And you know how that ends, right? And I'm telling you this even from Africa's talking experience. Sometimes it doesn't work the way you expect it. But when you work with startup, as you said, there's more win for everyone. And also there is even beyond the transaction, there's also knowledge share that actually goes a long way beyond that transaction.
Yeah, and I think for me, in those collaborations, the two key learnings have been, one is for partnership to work is both of you must have the right incentives in the sense of both risk and reward. I think the reason why it doesn't always work with most corporates is they do not have the same risk appetite. And the reward to the corporate is not also, what can I say? It's not as significant, to the reward that a startup will get. When it's two startups collaborating, those two things are matched. When the partnership works, the reward is huge for both of you. When the partnership fails, the risk is huge for both of you. Now, when you look at it from a corporate's perspective, if the partnership doesn't work, the risk for them is always little. Because, if for a startup, for example, you're investing $10,000 into this partnership, both in human resource and maybe other things that you need to put in. And a corporate is investing $10,000 in this partnership. Like the risk of losing $10,000.
That's the money that they can lose.
It's like in fact, they just look at these guys are non-existent. This 10,000, you're somewhere misplaced in their books. In your books as a startup, it's that is super important.
They call it operational cost. It's not even an investment, operational cost.
Petty cash.
And then when you look at the reward side now, if this partnership works really well, and you make it $100,000. On the corporate side, is like $100,000 is other revenue. Other.
Crazy.
On the startup side, $100,000, is depending on your size, is revenue. It's not
It's a
under
lot.
other. It's
Chief, that's
core
what
revenue.
celebrating is like saying, guys, stop what you're doing. Let's celebrate.
Yeah.
We made $100,000.
Yeah.
And then the number two, also from observation, is sometimes you collaborating with the corporate, but the collaboration is not under their core business. For you, it's under your core business. For them, it's not under their core business.
Yeah.
So that always influences how it goes. So you are again in other business lines.
Yeah. I see. So how has it been scaling in Dar as opposed to Lagos or Nigeria market? Dar is in Tanzania, right?
Yeah.
Because those are I find those two market interesting. It's like Ethiopia and Egypt. They're also interesting markets in Africa. If you hack one of those, you can hack the other one. How has it been?
Yeah, it's been quite different because culture is quite different.
Yeah.
In a lot of these markets, you have external environment. If you talk about tax,
Yeah.
if you talk about what do they call it? Inflation. Now, for example, in Nigeria, the cost of fuel went up by 3x overnight. What does that mean for us for logistics? So it's we've had to adapt to the different markets through the talent we get into the markets to work with us. We've had to be very localized in our approach. Not assuming what will work in Nairobi will work in Dar. You have to listen to what the market says and how do the people do business here. And that's been our biggest lesson from an expansion perspective. Listen to the market.
I see you guys have an office in New York. Is your product also there, or?
No, our product is just in Africa, but we do have because we are a US domiciled company. We have to have some form of physical.
Another controversial question coming through. So I heard there is an amount that you raise in Africa and you have to have an office in US.
I have.
Maybe it was not packaged like that, but there is that also, which I have nothing against having an office in US, and there's so many advantages if you look at it actually. But also it feels to so many entrepreneurs like it's a control mechanism in case like someone doesn't believe in African market.
I think I understand the question you're asking, and I think it's a topic I'm also passionate about, because the reality is capital has control. Let's not
There's
assume,
no free lunch.
Yeah, let's not assume that capital doesn't have control. So the reason why most startups have to have like a US address or something somewhere outside Africa, it's always to give investors comfort that there is some security to their capital. Just because of how sometimes our African governments behave. So,
right.
Like it's. It's
a twofold actually.
It's a twofold thing. So if you're gonna raise capital from US investors, they're probably not very comfortable investing in a company whose jurisdiction is just in Africa. Because
even for litigation purposes and whatnot.
There is the risk of always being shut down by a government, an African government, if they just feel like doing it. Because
like it happened to Flutter with the other day. I don't know how they solved with the new government. Africa is one interesting.
So you can imagine if Flutterwave was Kenyan headquartered, they would be shut down for a whole 3 months or whatever.
And it's all good for business.
And there is no due process. So I think it's a form of security. And the reason why you always advise to have set up in a jurisdiction where at least there is mechanisms that have been put in place to be able, be able to see that a business is well protected, hence the investments of the investors. And then I think the other thing is really as you said, a lot of the African capital is still going into real estate and, buildings and chambers. Not much is going
in
into
Switzerland and UK.
and
yeah.
And not into startups. So then who are you attracting? Like
True.
You're looking for investment. The reality is today you're still attracting most of the Western capital.
True. Yeah.
And the preference is that you have structures that they understand. So
Absolutely,
it's about understanding. If majority of investors are Kenyan investors, then having a structure locally is okay, because then most of the investors understand this jurisdiction and you're attracting the local capital. But I think we're still in the phase where we are building local capital.
So there's a long way to go in this, and actually that should encourage anyone who really have some capital that they can spare for investment in tech, because tech will always grow maybe for another 100 or so years. I don't know. Now with the AI, you cannot be sure how long this is gonna grow, and given that, especially in Africa where we have not solved so many problems, I'm not saying that tech is the solution for everything. There's some things that are, like we were talking about corruption earlier. There's some solutions that are human, centered kind of issues. But if you're looking to invest, especially for Africans, I can't speak for everyone else, try tech. Maybe if you're not, because also again it's cash intensive, maybe try to come together, and there's Mesozi Ventures where you can maybe share in the minds of the other venture capitalists in that circle, and invest. But guys, what was because I see you guys like you have just scratched the surface. That's how I feel. Like, what's next for MarketForce? Like, what's the plan, man?
We're very excited about the future.
Yeah.
Because we're solving a critical problem, and I think the reason I believe it's critical is because first dollar spent by many, if not all, Africans is on food.
Yes.
And that's what we're creating access for.
Yeah.
And if you think about the issues surrounding that, supply chain, access to financing, access to inventory, that's at the core of what MarketForce is doing.
Yeah.
It's applicable across all
54
markets.
countries in Africa. Yeah.
So the opportunity is really, really massive. $1.4 trillion spent in retail.
Yeah.
So we're very excited to continue scaling our product across more and more towns.
Yeah.
Now we've ventured into many tier 2 cities.
Yeah.
We're seeing good uptake of our solution there as well, and embedding many other crucial products that are being distributed through our distribution platform. If you think about insurance or access to finance. So we're very excited about continuing to scale this. We plan to build a wildly profitable and sustainable business the coming years.
Chief, you want to add on that?
I think that our vision is really to lead the narrative on the future of commerce for Africa. I think if you look at the numbers, over 85% of FMCG, retail, whatever you want to call it, goes through the informal sector. And our core mission is transforming that sector, of course, by using technology to make sure that we being able to offer efficient services to eventually the end consumers through that retail experience. So we always working together with the merchants to figure out how can we help you to get your goods in an affordable way. What are the other services that are critical to the success of your business and can be embedded on our platform to be able to help your day-to-day operations of your business and even